Good morning, students. Myself, Professor Phoola Rani, working in the Department of Agriculture, GGDST College, Haryana, Hoshiarpur. The topic for my today's presentation is reproduction and importance of fungi. In this topic, we will cover the reproduction methods and importance of fungi. Reproduction in fungi. Fungal reproduction is a complex process. They reproduce both by asexually, sexually, or both methods. The asexual reproduction occurs via vegetative spores such as arthrospores, chlamydospores, sporangiospores, conidiospores, euspores, and blastospores. In and the other method of reproduction can be the binary fission in most of the fungus. In sexual reproduction with meiosis has been observed in all fungal phyla except the Glomeromycota, and fungal employ two mating systems, heterothallic and homothallic. Sexually reproducing fungi may combine by fusing their hyphae together into a network by a process known as anastomosis. Sexual reproduction involves the union of two compatible nuclei or sex organs or sex cells. They reproduce sexual spores such as ascospores, basidiospores, euspores, and the oospores. Asexual and sexual reproduction in fungi. Most of fungi use more than one method of propagation. For example, reproduction may occur in two well differentiated stages within life cycle of a species, the teleomorphs and anamorphs. In mycology, the term teleomorphs, anamorphs, and holomorphs apply to portion of the life cycle of fungus in the phyla Ascomycota and Basidiomycota. Teleomorphs, the sexual reproductive stage, typically a fruiting body. Anamorphs, an asexual reproductive stage, like in molds. When a single fungus produces multiple morphologically distinct anamorphs, they are called synanamorphs. And in holomorphs, the whole fungus include the anamorphs and teleomorphs. Reproduction in yeast is by a method known as the binary fission or budding. In the budding, what will happen? A small bud from a already existing cell known as the mother cell will develop, and that bud will gradually enlarge and separate from the mother cell. And most of the yeast, they are reproduced by the method of budding only. Other method is fission. Fission that is similar to the budding method. During fission, what will happen is there will be cell will be equally divided into two new cells. This is also in some of the yeast species. During this, parent cell elongates, grow to certain size, its nucleus divide, and the two equal daughter cells are produced. It is the specialty of schizosacchomyces. Spores are produced both in asexual and sexual process. Fungus spores can be either asexual or sexual. Filamentous fungus show asexually by fragmentation of their hyphae, and the molds, they show both sexual and asexual spores. In asexually, they produced by the process of mitosis, and sexually there is the product of meiosis. And these spores are formed on the aerial part of the hyphae. Spores can be present on different structures depending on the species of the fungus. Sexual reproduction. During sexual reproduction, compatible nuclei unite within the mycelium and form sexual spores. And sexually opposite cells may also unite within a single mycelium or different myceliums. When the cells unite, the nuclei fuse to form a diploid nucleus, and several divisions have to follow that the haploid state will occur. In this, sexual spores result from the fusion of nuclei from the two opposite mating strains of the same species of the fungus, and it can be produced sexual spores less frequently than the sexual spores are produced less frequently than the asexual spores. And the organisms that grow more sexual spores with have genetic characteristics of both will have genetic characteristics of both parents. What are zygospores? They are the sexual spores, but they do not occur inside any kind of structure. They are produced by the direct fusion of two hyphal protrusions from the neighboring filaments, and usually euspores are recognized as large, spherical, dark brown, black, rough-walled spores with two connecting hypha representing the two mating gametantia. Basidiospores, they are present in the structures. That structures is known as the basidium, and basidia come in a variety of forms. The special form is the club shaped and bear 4 or 8 spores on the sharp projections at the apex. Now coming to the different groups of fungi, major phyla have been classified mainly on the basis of the sexual reproduction structure. First one is the Chytridiomycota, are commonly known as the chytrids. They are present worldwide and they involve zygotic meiosis process. And in Blastocleidiomycota, they are actively motile and producing euspores. They are motile by flagella. And Blastocleidiomystes are saprotrophs in nature, or saprotrophs feeding on the decomposing organic matter. It undergoes sporic meiosis. Then is the Glomeromycota. Glomeromycota, members of this group form arbuscular mycorrhiza. From that is, it gives a symbiotic association with the roots of the plants. It is also known as the endomycorrhizal fungus, and it reproduces asexually. Then Zygomycota fungus, they are more placed in Zygomycota. Most of the fungus strains are placed in the Zygomycota, but now they are appeared in a Glomeromycota only. And for example is the black bread mold, that is also known as the Rhizopus stolonifer. Then is the Ascomycota, it is known as sac fungus also. These fungus form meiotic spores called ascospores or ascus, and for example is morels, mushrooms, yeast, etc. Now coming to the importance of fungi, fungus are very important in day-to-day life. If they are important because important part of the food chain, because they decompose dead plant matter, thereby they help in the recycling of the vital elements. They are the primary decomposers because they have an enzyme that is known as cellulases. Cellulases degrade the cellulose and lignin that is present in the plants and convert it into the glucose form. This glucose can be utilized by the other organisms that are present on the earth. And they are mycorrhizae in plants. Mycorrhizae in plants means the hypha of the fungus, they penetrate into the roots, and but this hypha will help the absorption of minerals and water from the soil, and it provide it to the root part. And they are also used as a food like mushrooms, and they also help in the production of the food like bread and citric acid. And not only food, they also produce the drugs. Penicillin is extracted from the fungus, as well as alcohol. We can prepare different forms of alcohol, we can prepare with the help of yeast. There are a lot many species, that is more than 1 lakh species are available in the nature, but very less, that is 200 species are pathogenic in nature. This is a gachuchi, that is the local name in Jammu and Kashmir of this mushroom, known as Morchella esculenta. This is used as a food, and this is very expensive food in the world. Its rate is rupees 10,000 to 50,000 per kg. And this is a Penicillium notatum, from which penicillins have been extracted. And then again coming to the fungus importance, the yeast. All the brewery industry and baking industries is on the basis of yeast. That name of yeast is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Different strains of Saccharomyces cerevisiae help in the production of different beverages. And antibiotics like penicillin I have already told you, and cephalosporin also from the from the fungus only, and the drugs is cyclosporins is from the fungus. Not only this, the organic acids we can produce commercially from the fungus. They can be citric acid, gluconic acid, and lot many other acids that can use in our day-to-day life. And steroids and hormones also in the form of pills can be extracted from the fungus. Cheese, different forms of the cheese, that is blue cheese, Roquefort cheese, and camel bird seeds. They are very expensive and good nutritional value cheese they can produce with the help of only fungus. The strain of fungus that help in the production of cheese is known as the endophytic. Is known as the Roquefort strain, and in the agriculture they can be used as biocontrol agents like weedicides, herbicides, and insecticides. For example, certain species may be used to eliminate the growth of harmful plant pathogens in the form of insects, mites, weeds, nematodes. Entomopathogenic fungus can be used as a biopesticides. And endophytic fungus, for example, neo Typhochium coanophyllum produce alkaloids, toxin to herbivores, and they can be a poison for the grazing animals. So grasshopper can also be killed by this fungus species known as Beauveria bassiana. So this can be helpful for the farmers. So in this lecture we have covered the different modes of reproduction in the fungus, different types of the fungus, and then is the importance of the fungus. If any query or